This conference will now be recorded.
Jeremy, you ready to get this party started?
Yes, sir.
Let's get her done.
Let's get her done. Beat me, but they beat me to it. All right, it's 2 o'clock, so we'll get the meeting of the Puzzle Infrastructure Committee meeting going. Today is Monday, 20th. Whether you are here in person or joining us online, welcome to everybody being part of this committee today. And as a reminder, we would ask that if you're in person, please make sure that you sign in, that we have a recording of who is here. And also, as we go through the meeting, that if you request to talk, to please state your name and your address, so we can have a record of it for our minutes. And with that, I'll call the meeting to order and ask for a roll call, please.
Councilor Odepesta,
Here.
Councilor Johnson,
Here.
Councilor Arnold, present, Councilor Cavan,
Here.
Councilor Moore. Here.
And we have a quorum with all 5 of us being here. So if I can get the approval of the agenda as presented, or if there's any changes that anybody wants to make.
So moved.
We have a motion to accept the agenda as presented. Did I hear a second?
Okay.
And we have a second. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carried. And then we'll go to the approval of the minutes. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented or amended if there's any amendments? Motion to approve the minutes as presented. Is there a second? Second. Got a second by Councilor Johnson. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carried unanimously. And we'll go to item number 2 on the agenda, which is consider recommending approval of RFP 24011 scope of work for South Park Cemetery, Columbarium Plaza, and move forward to consent agenda council. And
Chair, Councilors, good afternoon. We're back in front of you today to consider letting us move forward with these columbariums. I've got Jeff here. Going to do a little presentation for everyone. We looked at this in the past and we've gone ahead and reduced the project a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and go ahead, Jeff, and we'll show everybody what we're doing.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Jeff Stewart. I'm the principal landscape architect at Plan Collaborative, and we're the design consultant for the columbarium project at the cemetery. Just a little history on the project. In 2019, we were hired to do a schematic design, some schematic design concepts for a columbarium plaza. At the time, it was going to be near the cemetery office. Really quick, before I go much further, if anybody doesn't know, a columbarium is basically just a masonry wall that's covered with granite niches, and it's intended to house cremated remains instead of burying. And these columbarium walls are generally arranged in a plaza with pavement, seating, aid, places for loved ones to gather and reflect on their loved ones' lives. So getting back, we did do some concepts for the site that was immediately adjacent to the cemetery office. There were some drainage issues there, and there also wasn't very much room. So we went through an effort and we chose the site, the current site, which is that pink one in the image to the right there. All right, next There we go. So in 2021, we were hired to do the construction documents for the Columbarium Plaza. But before we started, the cemetery board wanted us to add a committal shelter to the project. And a committal shelter is basically a permanent shade structure that's meant to have cemetery services in lieu of kind of dragging everybody out to the grave site, having the services there. And that was supposed to be arranged, basically be the center point or the centerpiece of this plaza, where you'll see these columbarium walls arranged to the north. There is expansion to the south for some columbarium walls. To the west, we have a hearse parking area, which allows the pallbearers to get the casket or remains up to the committal shelter without any steps or anything like that. We also have some head-in parking to the east that was a part of this project. Now, this is the previous design. Go to the next slide. So that previous design, it was approved. It was not built because of we were asking for extra money just because it was a bigger site. We were asking for, we were trying to build a committal shelter. So we were asking for more money at the same time we did these documents. Currently, we've been asked to reduce it back to the original budget, which was approximately $849,000. So in order to do that, we were able to keep the hearse parking area. We were able to keep curb around that circular drive. We were not able to fit the committal shelter in, so we're leaving a space for it. We're leaving spaces for all of the columbarium walls that we had designed. We're also leaving space for head-in parking, but we're not going to be able to build that in this phase or with this project. Also, we lowered the columbarium walls. They were 5 niches high. We lowered them to 3 niches high just to lessen the cost, be able to fit into that budget. Next slide. This is an enlarged view of the plaza. You can see that little square lawn will be where the committal shelter is going to go. That's in the south. We still have the hearse parking there on the west. We have the 2 columbarium walls to the north with the associated landscaping and seating. And then we have all the pavement that needs to be there to serve all of these functions right now, but we don't have much extra pavement for the future phases. Next slide. This is sort of a bird's eye view looking from the northeast corner of the site. You can see the columbarium walls there to the right. They're sort of flanked by this landscape bed that has bench seating, has trees for shade. You'll see to the south where that grouping of people is there. There's a columbarium directory where folks can scan a QR code and be directed to a map on their smartphone of where their loved one is housed on these columbarium walls. Next slide. This is more just a detailed view of the columbarium itself. As you can see, it's 3 niches high. We're building these out of very durable, long-lasting, timeless materials. The end walls are going to be made out of a limestone veneer. The cap of the wall is going to be a precast concrete cap that will coordinate and match with the stone on the walls. We're using, there's letters and numbers at the ends of the wall just to indicate the row and the side of the wall. Those would be made of brass. It's not just to be fancy brass, it's just a timeless material. It doesn't corrode, it just patinas over time. The niches, we're proposing to cover those with a black granite. This granite is sourced from a purveyor that's been around for over 100 years. So we feel confident that this granite, as you build more niches, this granite will be available in the future.
Quarry,
Yes, it's quarried in California. All right, next slide. That's it. Okay. You stand for questions.
Yeah, I stand for questions, but a lot of thoughts gone into this. We have reduced it, however, it's still functional. And if you see the materials we're using can be sourced later on, another 50 years from now. One thing different about this one is these will be built on site versus having them shipped in on a truck or come from a different country. A lot of times when you use marble, different things like that, it's very hard to find. And so they don't match. So whatever you do, don't drop one of the doors. Okay. So this is going to make it easier for folks in the future to maintain.
Good question. It said that it went from 3 to 5. Will Adelaide Day would be able to go higher, or it is what it is for now? Or can we add the other 2 later after, funding comes available?
We'll talk about this and other places, you see it's 3 high. What would happen is on the outside, it go to 5, which is not untypical.
Yeah.
Have smaller ones in the center and then larger ones in the outside. So that's what would happen, or just leave it 3, doesn't matter.
And I'm just saying, if you need it more later, where would they, where,
Right there in the plaza, you go back a couple
Yeah,
slides.
if you go back a couple.
some spaces in there you can add more?
You can show you up there.
You go back a couple slide.
There's room to increase the capacity.
Yeah. I was making sure.
One thing you did put on there. One thing I want to address, these will pay for themselves. You'll have a higher upfront cost.
Okay.
However, in the future, as people buy the niches, they will pay for itself. So basically, but to keep going. Right, everything, yes, that's gonna go through council and everybody, but when we keep it reasonable. Looking at some of the other folks in town that have those. Some of the churches, mausoleums have these niches, however they're filling up. So we're gonna need to react as soon as we can and get this going as quickly as possible.
The full build out, if it were all built out, the capacity would be almost 3,400 niches. So if you use that quantity and multiply it by, you can sort of start to see what your revenues are and how that this project could pay for the future construction of additional one.
Yeah, I'm done, that's all.
Any other committee member? Councilor Arnold?
So, forgive me, I do remember you presenting this, but can you, and I'm sorry if you did mention it, it must have slipped me. Can you tell me what happened and why we're going back to the original budget? What occurred?
Well, I think it was just, when we came to here before, the old council, we started with this design here and it was by the house. We couldn't do it because drainage. So we looked at this design, however, some of the councilors wanted to put in a Camellia shelter. And that was to free up the streets, the roads back inside. So you would throw the Camellia shelter and the large portion of the folks would be there. And then the family themselves could go back and back where we went and interred someone. However, that was an add-on. So we started with this and we went to Camellia shelter. Now we're going back to that. I think those additional funds were probably repurposed for something we're already doing. Fix something we already own instead of building something new.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Questions?
Council. How many spaces are in this first? In this first phase, it's going to be 288 double niches. Yes, double a sewage. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, sir.
And as far as the finances is concerned, if I recall, there has been an approval from the COVID
American Rescue.
monies.
Yes, sir.
And I don't recall the amount of money that was approved.
Well, we never make it to full council. So it's about $1.8 million, I think, something like that. I don't remember. I don't remember what it was. Yeah, the whole thing, I can't remember what it was.
And so that was not approved by council at that time?
No, it never made it to full council. It went through the committees. But we revisited that thing on a Tuesday prior to Thursday's council.
Okay. And
So
so
what is I'm sorry,
please, sir.
what is the amount of money that we're looking at this point in time for this construction right here?
It's right at 8,000.
100,000. Or 200 and, what was it,
88.
288 niches.
Some of that, it's, the cost for the initial phase is always going to be a little bit more because we're we're trying to develop the site to a certain level. There's a little more paving in this first phase. If you were to build, subsequent phases, the price per inch will probably go.
But keep it same, you use that for maintenance. Sure. The one thing we've done here is you see where the niche is in the bottom, it's outlined. One of the things we've talked about now in the future is I don't want you tearing up anything in the future to build what that's gonna be. So it's designed now, so we don't have to tear things up, 2 years from now to put the other niches in there. That makes any sense. Don't tear up what we're building now to expand later. They break into concrete or you have, rebar and different things. So
And as far as the money is concerned, and this is a question, I guess, for Chad or finance more than anybody else. The perpetual fund, I'm not sure how much there is in the perpetual fund, but if I understand it, we're not going to touch the perpetual fund.
no, Counselor, I tried to do that, was instructed by legal. We'd have to find all the folks that put into perpetual fund and ask them if they wanted their money back. Because that's actually their, and out of 32 headstones, I don't know which ones are perpetual. So that's going to sit there for right now.
Mr. Chair, if I could ask the question, I think, Mr. Burris, I think I saw that you had a capital outlay request for next year's budget for the columbarium, right around $800,000, I believe, in your capital projects budget.
Yeah, a building, you go with the well, get the well dug, and we've got pipe now, it's going to get strong. So
So you did submit it with your capital outlay request for next year's budget.
yeah, next year.
Anything else from committee members? Anything from the public? Anything for anybody online? We have anybody?
And don't highlight that. That's mama.
Yeah, if there's nothing else, I guess we're ready for a motion. If anybody is wanting to make a
I'd
motion.
like to make a motion to consider recommending to full council, our approval for RFP 24-011 for scope of work for the South Park Cemetery Columbarium Plaza, and to move forward to the consent agenda because it has the money already budgeted. That's why it's going to consent.
And that was what I was questioning.
Who said to go to it says consent on here, but why?
That's staff recommendation.
Why? Maybe I'm
No, I don't know.
out of order, but.
It doesn't.
Why to consent if there's no money? I don't see a money attached to it or not to go. If there's no money attached right here, we can go to consent, but if that 800,000 is attached, then it doesn't go to consent.
Well, I guess for
Right, am I wrong?
clarification,
Okay.
we need Chad or finance to let us know whether the money has been appropriated already or.
It should have already been there. But
And so what I can tell you, Mr. Chair, is that there's been a budget request. I believe it was 800,000. I don't have it here in front of me, but I can go look real quick. And capital projects, but that budget hasn't been approved. We have a special council meeting coming that would approve those funds. I would recommend that we send this to finance.
That's what I was going to say, that if it hasn't been, if the money has not been approved, then it should be going to finance. You got something?
Yeah, I just want to ask if if we've had this budget before and we're going back to the original budget, would something not have been earmarked, or where are we at with that?
I think
Right.
originally this went to council and got changed according to Mr. Burris. So it never made it through full council.
Never make you full council. It stopped 2 days prior.
So So it should be going to.
So we need to send this to
Finance.
finance,
and
because there's some money
finance-
attached to it somewhere. So we should be sending it to finance so we can see if it's.
I think the quoted cost within the documents here is $849,000.
Mhm. All right, then I make, okay,
You made the motion,
to send it to,
so you want to
finance.
amend your motion?
Yeah, I need to amend my motion to, because it wasn't seconded yet, so if we can just amend the motion. To recommend sending RFP 24-001 with scope of work for South Park Center and Columbarium and Plaza to finance to attach the $849,000.
You got a motion.
Is that okay?
I want to make sure that she gets it.
You're shaking at her.
You got it. Yes, sir.
You got it? Okay, so we got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor of sending this item to finance signify by saying aye. All those opposed, the motion carried, and this is going to finance. And now we've got the next one, item number 3, recommend award of Roswell Air Center wastewater extension design project to HDR Engineering in the amount of $173,479.18, which includes CRT. Who's going to take that one?
Mr. Chairman, committee members, as you're probably aware, currently working on a water line extension to the southeast corner of the Air Center. So what we're proposing is to parallel that with a wastewater extension as well.
That's yours.
Obviously, if something is to develop out there, it doesn't do much good to have water service, but not wastewater to go with it. So we put out a request for quote using our RFP 22005 for engineering on-call services. We sent the request to 5 vendors. Out of those 5, we got 3 quotes back. HDR Engineering was the lowest at $173,479.18. So we're requesting your approval to forward that to finance. Any questions?
Any questions from committee members?
Yes, Chairman,
This one?
there's 1.7 left on this legislative grant. Is that for other purposes or?
The grant, my understanding, was for infrastructure improvements at the Air Center.
Okay, so we still got it in our purse then.
Yep, yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you, sir.
Any other counselor, committee member, counselor, or counselors in attendance, or the mayor? Welcome, Mayor.
Is this the money for the back of the base?
Yes, sir, for the wastewater.
Sewer lift.
Well, my only comment was before we started that whole project, we got a quote from the city, or it cost $2 million to do the whole thing. And when we got the money, and I used that 2 million to get the money, that's where there's a figure. It went up to 6 million as soon as we got the money. And I thought that was dishonest. You don't miss it 300%.
Yeah.
But that's what happened to us. It happened to me, and I know I wasn't on the good side of the other mayor. He didn't care for me much. But all I'm going to tell you, to go from $2 million for the cost, 6 for water and sewer was a little much.
Is that what you got? They went up, it's because that's what you're saying, 6 million? Sorry, I'm sorry, sir.
Very, very preliminary estimates
6.
for water and sewer.
Just saying, the first thing they told me was 2.
Yeah, understood.
And that's the Spirit Two or any of those other guys. That's the money that the EDC want.
But now you're saying we have 1.7?
You've got 1.7. They use 3 million,
Left, yeah.
2.8 or whatever on the so-called ascent to help.
But to be clear, we won't have good quotes on sewer construction costs until it's done.
This is just design.
This is just design. Yes, sir. Yep.
You'd be closer to knowing the real number.
Right.
after this part of the design.
Correct. Yep.
All right.
Anything else, committee members? Counselor?
So just looking at the numbers here, there's quite a difference in between HDRs and the others. Why would that be? That's a significant difference. It's almost.
Yeah. My suspicion, and obviously some of this, I can't get into it too much with vendors and what their pricing is, but my suspicion is that HDR, since they're already doing the water line design for us, they're utilizing some of that data, survey data that they already have.
So this is the company that we're already using.
Yes, ma'am. Correct.
Thank you very much.
Anything else? Anything from the public, if they want to make a comment? Anybody online? If not, I guess we're ready for a motion, and this is to be sent to finance as well. So can I entertain a motion to send this item to finance?
So
You got a motion and a second. Bernadette, you get who made the motion?
Yes, sir.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, the motion carried. It'll go to finance. And we'll go to item number 3. Item number 4, I'm sorry. Consider ratification of change order in the amount of $292,000 to increase PO 401397 23-023 East Mescalero Bridge Replacement Project from the current amount of $1,217,288.90 to a new amount of $1,509,347.31.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, committee members, we're requesting a change order to PO 22401397 for the East Mescalero Bridge Replacement Project. So a little background, that bridge replacement project is 100% funded with NMDOT agreement HW2M 700096. For the terms of the agreement, disbursement of the funds was requested when the notice to proceed was sent to the construction contractor, and NMDOT has dispersed the full 1.723 to the city of Roswell, and the receipt for that is in your packet. So we've already received that one. The disbursement provided funds to cover design expenses with Bohannon Houston. So the design of this bridge was outsourced to Bohannon Houston. So we've currently spent $213,652.69 with Bohannon Houston, which leaves $1,509,347.31 for construction. Engineering is requesting approval to expend up to that total remaining on the project. Per the terms of the funding agreement, unused funds are to be returned to the state. So essentially, we're requesting to be able to expend the full amount that we have available on the project and not return that full amount to DOT.
Any questions from committee members?
Mr. Chairman, James, is there a change order for this increase, or do you have an extra scope of work that we're going to tie to these extra funding?
Yes.
I think it was what, 200 and almost 300,000.
Yes, sir.
So we got what is the scope of work that we're increasing?
So the change, a big part of it is additional paving work.
Okay,
West approach of the bridge.
nice. Good. Yeah, I'd love to expend it all as well. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Anybody else, committee members? Council members in attendance, do you have any questions? And is this going to finance as well?
Yes, sir.
Because of the 300,000?
Yes, sir. We're
Okay.
requesting to finance as well. Yes, sir.
Anybody in attendance have any questions, comments? Anybody online? If not, then I can entertain a motion to send to finance.
I'd like to make a motion to ratify the change order in the amount of $292,058.41 for the increase of PO 22401-397 for the Mescalero Bridge and send to finance.
We have a motion. Dr. Johnson seconds. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion carry unanimously. And we'll go to item number 5. Consider approval to award the manhole rehab repair work for the North Atkinson project to Adame Construction Incorporated in the amount of $70,967.88, which includes GRT. That's yours.
Lorenzo.
That's Lorenzo. Okay.
Put me to work. Mr. Chair, committee members, here asking you today to consider approval to award the manhole rehab repair work for the North Atkinson project to Adama Construction Inc. in the amount of $70,907.88, which does include GRT. A little background, the city has 5 manholes on North Atkinson that are in need of rehab. This will complete the repair of the utilities for the North Atkinson roadway project. The manhole repair work will be awarded to Adama Construction due to them being the only contractor providing a quote for the repair work. We do have a few no quotes coming from our on-call RFP. And Janie said that would be sufficient to run it through with this sole quote. And this item will be funded through the wastewater from the budgeted manhole rehab project funded through FY 2024. And this will also need to be run through finance as well.
Okay. Do we have any, is that the end of?
There are photos of there, if you want to.
There's a few pictures of the manhole right there. And that is going to require some bypass pumping and stuff to bypass while they're working on the manhole. Have to run some pumps, fuse some piping together to bypass the sewage from one manhole to another while they're doing the repair work. So they go in and they grout it, reapply, they clean it, grout it, reapply an epoxy coat and also do just a grade on the manhole lids and rings.
Are these going to be considered part of, at one point we were doing like 50 per year?
Yes, that is where this funding is coming from. It just, what happened is we lost the contractor that was doing that, which was CRC. They went out of business and we're having a hard time finding somebody else to do the work now. And we didn't request it for this year because we're kind of sitting back, letting everybody get a hold of the budget this year, but it will be another request for FY 26 moving forward. We got to keep this project moving, but we need to find somebody that has the ability and wants to start doing the manhole rehab work again.
Okay.
We had a very difficult time finding even this one to give us a quote.
Anything else?
Oh, yeah, Chairman, because of the amount of this is $70,000, and you mentioned there was an RFP available, or there was one, I guess Janie said to tie the other quotes to or something.
Yes.
But I didn't see an RFP established for this one. So wouldn't that still take us outside of the procurement?
I will have them. She said it will follow procurement from adding the no quotes and the RFP vendors on the same on-call list.
Okay.
And that will be attached whenever we come to finance. I'm awaiting those.
Okay,
quotes.
so when it comes to financing, you'll have all
Right. We'll
supporting
have all that
documentation?
attached next meeting. Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, because without it, it's,
Yes,
It's
we will
scary
have it.
looking.
We'll have it. Yeah.
gotcha. Thanks, Lorenzo.
Keep me in line.
We'll
Right.
send it to finance, let them take care of it.
Appreciate it.
Anything else? Do we already have a motion or no? Yeah, can I entertain a motion to send to finance?
A motion.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, Motion carried, and it'll go to finance. And that's the end of our regular action items. And so we'll go to non-action item, starting with item number 6, presentation of upcoming replat of Unit 7, The Oaks by Mac Real Estate Incorporated. Are you going to do a presentation of any sort, or
I can go.
are you just going to defer to Mr. Mitchell?
It's Mr. Mitchell's project, so I'll defer for his presentation.
So he did. So what we're looking at doing is, this is Oaks number 7. We built unit 1. This is 7. It's already been approved and platted, and it's ready for construction. We're trying to build, we've got an affordable, this inflation's just killing us on infrastructure out there, and we're trying to get these lots down to the $50,000 range so we can get some houses over there in the under $300,000 market, per some of our previous discussions. And this is the current plat that is, these lots are typically about 75 foot wide. This is currently zoned R1. And it's my understanding that R1 is 6,000 square foot minimum lots. So if you go to the next plat, we reduced those lots to 6,000 square feet. Ended up adding 19 lots to the project, and it knocks about $10,000 a lot off infrastructure, and it makes that under $300,000 homes possible. So, and with us not needing a zone change, I mean, right now we've got a couple of these lots. I'm going to have to work with Lewis and replat them. If this is doable, we'd have to submit another set of plans showing some new water and sewer services. We've done the calcs. It doesn't change the flood plan at all. It actually makes it better. It's less roof surface what we're building here than what we originally proposed. The only thing we've done to date is we've stubbed the sewer into here. So I think it changes nothing with the construction as far as the streets, any of that goes. It just adds a few more sewer services, a few more water services. I guess our only other concern is with the factory coming online. If it's going to take months to get this approved, I don't know if we have the timeline for it. If it'd be, and again, that's why we're here today, trying to figure out this would be a quick process to get this flipped over, because it's not a rezone, it's just a replat. And should be a pretty short set of plans, because streets and everything are designed, it's not changing. Add a few water sewer services. We can go through the financials if you guys care to, but basically it knocks $10,000 a lot off of them. And it gets that down to 50,000. That's where our builders are telling us we have to be to make it work for them. So.
Mr. Chairman, real quick, Jessica, how quickly can we get this pipe done so that they can be prepared to get started with
Very Q&A. Answer your committee members. They'll go through Planning and Zoning Commission first, and then they'll send in their recommendation to City Council. We could get them on the June docket for Planning and Zoning and July for City Council.
No, that would fit our schedule. If we could start construction in August, that would fit our schedule. We currently have 17 lots. They're on the corner of Union and Country Club there that we're going to build out first, and this and give us time to get out ahead of this.
So just a devil advocate, if we can't put it in the June agenda,
We're starting in September. It's pretty tight. We're only adding 19 lots. It helps it out. But we do have some other costs associated with it. We have to add sewer and water services, we have to add additional electricity. There's some things that change it. So if it gets out September, October, it's probably not worth us to just build it the way it is. And that's the main reason we're here today. If it works and we feel that we can get under construction in August, we'd love to proceed with this, because this is going to be, where we're looking at now, they're going to be right around 280,000 apiece if we could do this. And it's a big number today with 8% interest. Because everything in the market over there is over 400.
Meredith, you said best case scenario is that we see this in our July meeting. Yes. And thank you for being the devil's advocate down there, Juan.
Oh, yeah.
He likes that.
Chairman, excuse me.
Committee members, do you have any questions for Mr. Mitchell? Mayor?
How many square feet will be in these houses?
About 1,200.
Yeah, and a lot of this was done before. If you're adding 19 additional hots, so, and out of 127, so you're going up from 108, something, what you have now in those lots?
Yeah.
Because you're cutting from 75 feet to 55.
Right.
The depth's the same. And so, okay, 1,200 square feet.
Yes, sir. It works out to about 13,000 square foot less roof surface than what we originally planned. If that's.
Well, I'm just wondering, when I look at that subdivision, I'd have to look, but everybody comes out on Nevada, basically, and then there's Sorrentino that goes all the way through.
Sorrento.
Yeah, whatever.
Yes, sir.
But it's if you had 19 more, that's, you know, if there's 3 cars a deal, what's that, 57 or 57 cars? I don't know on the traffic time. In the first deal, because that was done before we got here, is there a traffic study?
Was there a traffic?
Let's do a traffic study, yes, sir. And the first 4 units were good, and we currently have 250 lots there platted. And our next intent is to come to you with a replat for this, or a plat for this. There's currently not a plat for this unit, and tie this back in so there's access out on Sycamore.
Is that going to be Sorrento or whatever it is that goes?
Yeah, yes, sir, this will be Sorrento, but we won't take it. Currently, we're not going to tie it through, but we would tie it through that way.
And that'll accommodate the new traffic then, right?
It accommodate the new traffic there plus all this additional traffic.
Because I just worry about the people on Sorrento, because if you're not tying it back in to the other street so it doesn't go all the way through. I mean, you've got 3 entrances into that subdivision, really. By the way, when I remember looking at your plat.
Yes, sir. Originally, I think we were going to have one on 19th when it's built out. It was going to come up around like this. It was going to come all the way through Sorrento. So there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I believe, is the overall map on it.
Because it looked to me like whoever left that place had to come out on Nevada, either, I guess, if Nevada went on all down, on down out. So Nevada, and then the other one was Sorrento. If it's going all the way across, then I just think that you have to be careful not to put as narrow as Sorrento is, not to put that much more traffic load down that street, or the people on Sorrento won't be able to back out of their driveway. Yes, sir. I mean, that's
Sorrento going this way. I'm not sure if it even has driveway. It has any driveways on it. I'd have to look at that. And it's not currently designed, so we could do what we needed there to have a thoroughfare to get in, egress and ingress out of there. The only, and this is platted, that's part of Sorrento, and it does have driveways on it. That has driveways. So I don't have We could change it going this way, but I don't know what we'd do going back the other way.
'Cause I just, when streets are narrow, if you get, somebody's because they don't have alleys, so I don't guess, I mean,
These streets are currently 36 feet.
we'll look. But see, when you look at all that and you look at about access, if you look at anybody who goes into that, if that's a grocery store up in the corner and Country Club and Sycamore or whatever, if that's a grocery store, nobody can get to that grocery store without going outside the neighborhood kind of complex there. And I thought, from what I saw in the stuff, it looked to me like there ought to be an access where somebody inside the unit could go to the inside of 14, 15, or 13 or 2. They could come in and go up into that grocery store thing without having to go out on Country Club or, going around all that way.
And it's currently unplatted. We could certainly look at that.
I'm just, there's a lot, 900 houses is a lot. And if you look at that, you might as well have an opportunity for those people not to have to go out onto Country Club, because Country Club, I don't know who's going to pay the 4-lane Country Club. My concern, because half of the city doesn't know.
But when we build Sorrento through, we could always take that into consideration, build access in there if we needed to. Nobody's proposed that, and I haven't thought about it, to be honest with you. So it's something we could look into.
Dan, when you talk about Sorrento, are you talking are you talking about tying it into the union or not tying it into the union?
There was some debate on that. The original plat or the kind of the master plan on this deal was drawn by Mr. Mangers. And it was all tied in through Sorrento. And there was some back at that time, and it was unplatted. It was just kind of a concept, so we didn't flesh that out. We could always bring a street down here and tie it into 19th. There's multiple ways to get through 19th. I think this is going to turn into a water detention area. Lewis and I are currently working on that. But 19th could come around and we could tie this all back into 19th. It would certainly be doable.
Yeah, but I'd be interested to see what his traffic study showed about running that through 19th, or running it all the way through this Sorrento established neighborhood was what I'd like to see. And whether you're going to stop it there or whether you're going to run it around. I just know that the way Sorrento sits there through that existing neighborhood, getting on the Union at certain times in the morning or certain times of the day, because that road curves through there. So I would just like to see what his traffic study says about that. And those are very narrow. Sorrento is very narrow. And to turn it into a commuter road would be extremely difficult, I believe. And so that's one of my concerns is that on that whole project. I don't think when the original Sorrento was designed, they didn't think about it. They were short-sighted in their thought process and didn't think about the future. And that's why we have to look at all of this to work with you to think about the future and not just today. And I'm not chastising you. I hope you don't.
No, definitely.
But I'm just saying the city has been guilty of allowing projects to take place without thinking about the future. What demands are going to be met. Also, like the mayor is saying, keeping traffic off, people wanting to go shopping, keeping that traffic off of the thoroughfares right now. They're already going to be loaded up with all of this, which I'm very much in favor of. Hopefully your investment works for you. I've been down that road. It's a tough road. I want to tell you, if you put the time value of money and absorption rate, he's not going to make any money. You'd be better off putting it in a CD and come out better. But anyway, that's just an editorial. I would like to see that traffic study, which talks about running that thing through Sorrento all the way through. If that's definitely going to be cut off or not cut off, that it doesn't go through there. Because I don't think Union can handle all of that traffic the way it's. You're going to have to put a stoplight in at Sorrento and Union. In my opinion, certain times of the day, you can't get across there. You've got children going to school to Military Heights there. You've got a lot of issues going on. And that, again, the city didn't think far enough down the road. And that's a shame on us. So let's think about going down the road and how we look at this in total. Let me ask you this, Jim. You're talking about future. Do you have a master plan already drawn up for this whole plat, for the whole project? You talk about maybe taking Sorrento and making it wider, maybe taking 19. Is there a master plan that looks at this whole thing and how it ties into all the traffic and what you're, not that you're platting it to that effect, but what does it look like?
So when we originally showed up and was working with the city on this, we brought this to the city and said, here's this blank piece plan. What would you guys like to see?
Yeah.
And they drew a master plan. Kevin Mabry drew a master plan that fit in there, and that's what you've seen.
Yep.
And, you know, I'll tell you guys the same thing. It's a blank. What's not on there in red ink is a blank canvas today. So if we need to modify it and it's still buildable, we can do anything. It's wide open.
Shame on the city for drawing up your plans. That should have come to the city pre-done. The city should not have been in the business of designing this project. Big mistake. I hope we never do this again. Never, ever. Because we should be approving what his idea is, not telling him what our idea is. Come forward with your idea and let's make it work. So I hope we never do that again. Never.
Mr. Chair, I think just to elaborate a little bit on the master plan, we've got a concept drawing, my understanding, developed by Mr. Kevin Mabers, that's labeled master plan. It's not a true master plan in any sense of the word. It is a concept drawing.
But does it fit in with what you want to pull off over there, Jim?
Not anymore. It did when interest was 3%, but now that interest is. We need to build smaller lots. Bottom line is we need to build smaller lots. People can't afford a 4,000 square foot house anymore. So it's gonna.
But what would it take for you to come back and show us what your master plan is? Conceptually, showing where you talk about 19th line and over here, you don't run Sorrento through the existing Sorrento.
Well, Meredith has brought this up just recently in one of our meetings, and we would be opposed to drafting another master concept. I certainly wouldn't.
I don't want to run you into more money. I'm not trying to make you spend more money, but I think it helps everyone that's involved in this process understand what this is to look like and where you're going with this.
So we wouldn't be opposed to working with council, coming up with something that works for everybody. I mean, we'd like to draw our own plan. I think we're pretty good at it.
Yeah.
And so I believe we could draw something potentially more suiting than what we've currently dealt with. The problem I'm kind of under fire with at the moment is I've got to make some decisions based on the money we've spent so far here, because I've got products stacking up there inside that building.
May I ask, would you want to see that before moving unit 7? Or could we go ahead with unit 7 and then work on the rest of it?
Well, I'd like to see it as soon as possible. But we're talking about redoing 7 by putting more density in there. As the mayor says, lots of times vehicles, but how does that work? How does that fit? Does it fit in? And most of the people in 7 are going to be getting on to Country Club, correct? I'm all for this because these people are going to live in, guess what, Ward 3.
Yeah.
Well, apparently Country Club has been approved for the 250 lot. I mean, Lewis did a
Yeah.
traffic study.
Yeah.
It currently works actually for quite a few more cars than that,
Okay.
but that has been done. So
And it meets or exceeds.
it exceeds it, yes.
And your drainage, I mean, that was my next question, because I see all that, you can see the dark spots on your plat right there.
Yes, sir.
That was a big concern of mine of drainage, and I guess you've already answered that because your retention, detention, I guess those two confused.
Currently, it's drawn up, there's a detention basin inside of here.
Yeah.
And then there's a 48 or 60-inch storm drain that comes down through here. There's another detention basin here, it crosses under the roadway, and there's a large detention basin here that then dumps into the city's retention system, or however it works, but it's all been designed and approved by Lewis.
Design and approved, good.
We got a couple of individuals that have indicated they want to speak. Councilor Arnold.
Yeah, I just had a couple questions then to kind of continue on with what Councilman Hildenbrandt was saying. I was actually just wanting to mention a couple things. In actually redesigning this, where did you end up with the alleys? What, do we have alleys, do we not?
Originally, when we came to the city originally to design this, we are not a fan of alleys. Alleys would cost us about $8,000 a lot. And they're a place for crime, they're a place for, it's a solid waste issue. There's just issue after issue after issue with alleys for us. And the other big deal with alleys is this neighborhood, the alley right here is a detriment to society. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, where it's got the double wall up against Union.
Yeah.
Well, this neighborhood right here, when they weren't having that. So that was the other reason we didn't do any alleys, is they didn't want to continue that mess they created in Sorrento originally.
So you're saying it does not have alleys?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so the reason I asked the question is because logistically speaking, it's something to consider. We may actually have to amend the code because currently, I think there's a requirement to have alleys, but a consideration, if you actually look right behind Mr. Mitchell's head, you have that golf course. There are no alleys in that area. And so having studied that whole area, you have some development coming in on the other side of Maupin and Brown that I actually believe if you take this whole region and actually do it with 90s, it makes it more logistically sound for sanitation. And that's the kind of innovative thinking that we need to be doing as a council. Like you said, making sure that we're properly planning, making sure that the logistics matches the entire area. And so I think that I've kind of talked with community development and Hess about changing the language to not make it so black and white, to allow for, changes on logistical things. But that is something to consider with the alleys, because that whole area could benefit from being 90s. The other part I wanted to bring up is the country club development that our mayor mentioned. Well, when you're putting 900 homes in, it's actually just a basic development common sense. And I think that that's something that we should be having conversations with the county and sitting down and talking about the expansion of that road, because it's, it would behoove us, those 900 residents are residents of the city and residents of the county. So just projecting for conceptual growth, I think, like I said many times, I think it would behoove us to start fiscally planning ahead. Just to saying, kind of carrying on what you're saying, Councilman. Anyway, that was all I had. Thank you.
Councilor Corn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To answer Council Lady's comment, the county has already been part of some discussions dealing with country club and the extension, because you can't come in there and widen our part of it without, you can't come to an intersection and all of a sudden shrink it down. And I've already had conversations personally with the county, and I suggested to them that they might consider 4-lane and country club all the way back.
What are their thoughts on that? What are their thoughts on that?
They are very interested. Now, we haven't seen talks about money and timing and all that other stuff, but they were very open.
Well, and that's actually a good concept, because if we start talking about it now, we can actually do the joint fiscal planning and capital outlay, requests and stuff like
Yeah,
that. Thank you.
this was discussion when Mr. Mitchell was here a long time ago,
Okay,
and they're abreast of it.
okay.
So my question to you is, could we get to the plots, the new revised plot setting? Is that the new revised?
No, sir, that's old.
Okay. So, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Mitchell, I think you and I had discussions in this replot. You're going to more densely do it. Were you able to do two things I think that we discussed? I'm getting old, so maybe I forgot. Were you able to widen the streets a little bit in here?
Yes, sir. The streets are 38, 36 back to back.
Okay. And then we also had part of that discussion led to, are you able with this plan to get enough offset so you can have two cars in the driveway without hanging off in the street?
Yes, sir. Part of the conversation we had with Lewis and Meredith a couple weeks ago prior to bringing this in is there will be an increased setback for the front of the garage so that the cars weren't hanging out in the sidewalks, and we could get a couple cars in the garage and a couple in the driveway if need people off the street.
Thank you.
36, and that's nice.
They're big streets.
Yeah, those are great.
When you're paying for them, they're not great.
Right.
You live on them, you like them.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the setback going to be? Sustained as city staff? Side setbacks?
Oh, the sides are gonna be 5, except for these corner lots. They have 15.
What are we currently now?
Yeah.
In the R1, it's 25, so we can take it for a variance as well.
So that needs to be moved for variances as well.
Where the street side yards on the corner lot. And Lewis has approved that.
We did.
Lewis approved the concept.
Anything else on this issue? Any questions, Mr. Mitchell? Mayor?
Well, I still have some concern when you add the 19 lots or 127. If these houses are, they're going to have, probably 4 to 6 people in it? If you look at it, 280, I'm just, as a starter home or something, I mean, if the 350s are too much, you're gonna, it just seems like you're gonna have more people per household than maybe not, but because that's gonna be the only affordable housing you can find. And I sit there and wonder, where are kids gonna play basketball or play baseball or have a field? And there's not any. I wonder, I was looking over there, when I look at driving by over there and on that street with the double alleys, I mean, if you look at that, that's almost a raceway. If you look at the accidents we've had there, and it's almost a raceway. And so, I mean, it seems like there's, that one guy went all the way through the fence forever, and then there's been 2 or 3 wrecks over there. I came across one time where a guy rolled over. I just wonder if you're going to have the same problem coming on Sereno coming out. You'll be able to turn right, okay, but you'll never be able to turn left. And I wonder about that. And then I wonder about where are kids going to have to play if they're going to be there's starter homes or whatever. There's going to be I don't see a lot of parks or basketball places. And then who's gonna, if we have a ordinance or something where there's a park or something in there, somebody's got to maintain all those areas where the water is stored. Where all those, somebody's gonna have to either make that into grass or, something where the water is gonna be standing. Somebody's gonna have to cut the weeds and cut all those. Shouldn't that all be a cost of that subdivision? Whether it's paid for by some kind of fee or something of the people in the subdivision on a tax. This is all new to me. I've never done this stuff, but it looks like that there ought to be somebody who's going to pay to maintain that whole storage system for holding water.
Currently, the way Lewis has that developed, or he would like that to be developed, is it'd be a multi-tiered detention basin with grass in it. And it would be dual purpose to where it'd be a soccer field or playing field when it didn't have water in it. That thing won't hold water. It has a release, got a big concrete box in it, perforated concrete box in the corner down here. And it has a time release just to slow that water down to where it doesn't flood out the area down below if it's city. And when it wasn't raining, it could be utilized to exactly what you were saying. And this gentleman here didn't want it.
I don't think, yeah, we got to talk a little bit the other day about having a soccer field that's actually a retention pond. And if it does flood away into the grass and everything else that used to be there, after it's sat under the water for a while, it has to be rebuilt each time. I'm not a proponent of having a drainage ditch as a soccer field. Just thought I'd put it out there.
Councilor Arnold?
So, Mr. Mayor, I think it's always a great idea to make sure that we have something that where our children can go out and play. But at this point, our children aren't playing outside like I used to. Unfortunately, I grew up with Stiles Field right behind me. So I don't, not everyone had that luxury. But we're putting, as a city, we're putting a lot of money into Cielo Grande. We're actually trying to create something that the children will go to. Also, you have to think about, we have 12 parks that we're currently trying to maintain that aren't very used. If you actually create those within the subdivision, who's going to maintain them? Is that something that, to me, looking forward, Mr. Mitchell, what kind of plans do you have for trees? Is that something that's up to the individual lot purchaser? Okay, well, so, while we can hope that they put the green in and considering water supplies, you kind of want it more to be like a xyloscape, but I actually would love to incentivize our children to use Cielo Grande. There's a lot of great things coming in there. And so I don't know that a bunch more parks that we don't know how they're going to be maintained is something that I would actually look for.
Court.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Burris, let me ask you a question. And if you don't have the right number, I'll accept whatever you can calculate quickly ahead. If you have any idea, what's it cost us to maintain the acreage for the parks we presently have?
Okay, 685 acres of parks. And we're looking at the budget the other day. I can't remember. We did sit down. I'm not sure what number we came up with. We had a discussion about 6 more parks. And obviously we haven't got right time to take it, what we have right now. So we got $1 million so budget divided into 685 acres.
So it's easily north of $5,000 an acre, maybe 6, maybe a hair over 6.
Probably a bit more.
So,
Depending on water rate.
well, I understand all the stuff. I mean, you gotta water it, you gotta fertilize it, you gotta mow it, you gotta do all that stuff to it. And, so you were talking about planting. However many acres that you're talking about for green space is north of $6,000 an acre in today's dollars, right? So tomorrow it's going to be 6,500. Next year it's going to get to 7,000. I mean, it's one of those things that just keeps growing on you, like everything else that we buy and mess with. So keep that in the back of your mind, how this is going to go, or as the mayor suggested, put a burden on those people, but then that costs extra money too. So the house man has already expressed his concern for the purchasers being able to afford these things at current interest rates. I mean, I could buy any house in town for less than $150,000. Now I'm showing you how old I am. But those days are gone and will never be back.
Mr. Burris, when you cite the numbers of parks, are you also including the sports?
Everything.
Including just the recreational?
That I'm aware of. So 685 acres total, what we take care of every week.
So I'm sorry, Mr. Mitchell, this is a little off topic, but it's actually fitting. So as I was actually looking at the budget, I understand that because you make a very valid, maybe something that we consider taking into those parks and looking at what is used. Because right now, our fire department and our police department, as I understand it, their budgets are less than our parks department. No, okay. Okay. That's one of the, they've called me with that concern, but
Single entity.
either way, I mean, if while quality of life is absolutely important, I do think that taking back on some of those parks is pivotal and us making sure that we can put money in other spots. I just wanted to throw that in. My apologies.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Not a counselor. Oh, you will go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You're correct.
Mr. Chairman, Jim, and I look at this from other perspectives. You know, I have a daughter that's down in Katy that lives in an area that has parks and stuff around. My son lives in Saginaw, same situation. These areas are being developed. Both of them are within HOAs.
Mm-hmm.
So how difficult is it as you move forward with this project to be able to create an HOA within your buyers, get them to create that HOA because they're the ones who are going to be managing it. I mean, they have elections, they decide who's going to be the president, and they take on that, whether it's $200 a year for that HOA or whatever, so that they can maintain any of these extra things. Is that something that you're familiar with, got a map for? I know it's going to add a little bit to it, but that may be a solution to the issue if we do get to where we're putting those parks. And I know that you're doing everything you can to make this a great community within the Roswell community, and I know you're going to do everything you can to get us there. But is that something that you would give us a thought to?
We have, and what we've seen recently in these rural municipalities where you don't go in and build 900 homes in 3 or 4 years, the burden on the first 100 people that move in there is so great that the HOA usually goes bankrupt. And then the city comes in and fixes it up, and it's a real mess. Because typically the HOA wants something way greater than the city would care to maintain. But when there's 100 people, we get into a deal where we build 100 homes up there and it takes 10 years to build the next 100, which I think we've all experienced in Roswell. It'd probably go bankrupt before we got enough homes, before we got 300 or 400 homes to maintain it.
And then the city takes it over.
City, unfortunately, have to take it over or burn the park, one or the other. So.
Yes, Mayor.
I understand there's a lot of kids that do an awful lot with their thumbs. But I don't think that's really what the idea of a park is to me, a park is to get people where they go outside and see other people and do other things and play with their thumbs. And so when I look at this, I look at it a little different. I think you want people to be outside, to have a healthy place, even if it's just, maybe you have a walking track around something. But that is something that's not a lot of maintenance. A basketball court aren't a lot of maintenance, but when you drive down Penn down there behind Sears and you got kids playing in the street with a basketball goal laying over there on the side, that's not a healthy situation either. And so, I think kids need to be able to go outside and spend time out in the areas. I think you need to have basketball goals. You need to have, maybe you have something down, it doesn't, everything doesn't have to be a big, expensive play set, but swings aren't that much to maintain if you have those. And there are things you can do just to get people to go outside where kids can go fly a kite, you know? I mean, I'm just saying there needs to be some area out there where you can have a basketball goal or something where kids can go play basketball or tetherball. Nobody even knows what that is anymore, but.
Put the ball courts in.
Yeah, but then they always build them up too high and you have to have ADA to get in them. But no, I mean, I just think that you're adding more and more people when you add 19 more lots. I mean, if you got 127 lots or whatever it was, and, you know, I don't know. To me, I think you're going to get a lot of first-time people and with lower incomes that have more kids into these lots. Maybe not, but it just seems to me they can't afford a $450,000 house, but maybe, you know, a 250 or something, or 280 ought to be able to have. You'll get more kids in there. And I mean, we've all seen Roswell and how it grows and where, you know, why we don't have East Side Little League is because Chihuahuita and the base were put in the same damn Little League. That's why. It's just, you know, as low income gerrymandering as you can have. And so, you know, you look at it and I just, whatever you get, I think kids ought to have a place to go outside and not necessarily have to stay home and play with their thumbs. And, but that's just me.
Well, the one thing that made this land so attractive to us, when Mr. Mabers did draw the master plan, it was based on the fact that this was all gonna get developed by the city down here, and it was gonna be a multi-use area, and people were gonna walk from there to there, and that was a big driver in us purchasing that piece of property, is those future plans that the city's gonna do here, so.
Well, obviously, we're not gonna solve the problem.
Right. They had somebody behind you on this. You had somebody behind you.
I'm sorry?
I need some clarification. How many square feet are these houses going to be?
1,200.
1,200. Oh, I think 17. And how much are you selling them for? 280?
Ish.
280-ish. And I'm just asking a question. Do we have the population now and the future population and to fill these houses?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So we were just today, what we were just talking about now, we're just redoing your change for unit 7, right? That's what we were just talking about, your changes. Okay, now then I saw 13 and 14. So those are the ones that you're talking that some changes can be made because they're not platted out yet, correct? Am I correct? So there is some room, if you think, allowed to leave some green space or some cement space or something, right? I see a lot of stuff going on over there. So there is some room for that for your later. And I think somebody else said if you can bring a plan that it would include some of that maybe in your later part. But right now, we're just talking about your change or the city wanted you, is the city wanted you to change the?
No, I'm asking to change it.
Oh, okay.
And right now, we have about 250 acres that aren't platted, so we need to make some change. There's plenty of room for growth.
Okay.
This item was brought as a courtesy to the city.
Okay.
Yeah. Not that we were gonna
make them change anything or whatever.
Like that.
Just kind of talk about it.
To introduce it to the city as to what, before you go to planning and zoning.
Have they already started building your squares at the?
No, ma'am, we're few documents from the state, but we're expecting them in short order.
I'm done, thank you.
Okay, anything else before we move on?
This was just information.
So this is information.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell.
Years, should we scratch it? No more. Because timing is an issue.
I think the smaller units are better.
Yeah, okay.
I think the smaller units will work better.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think 19.
We go to item number 7. It's the same but not the same, but it's different units. Presentation of proposed units 13 and 14, the Oaks by Mac Real Estate Incorporated.
We actually didn't bring that in today.
Okay.
We thought we would take one bite at a time with ourselves and see what we can do.
All right, then we'll go to item number 8, discussion of purchase of farmland adjacent to wastewater treatment plant. Who's going to have that one? Lorenzo?
I can run with that one for committee members. There's still no update on that. We're still waiting on the state, the finalization of the state. As you well know, Larry Wagner passed away and he left it to his stepson, I believe, which is Timmy. And they're waiting for the finalization of that, and he's going to contact us as soon as that's done. And then we'll get into discussions about where we can go on the purchase of the property.
Have you had the discussions of the previous, call it agreement or whatever, that we or the city made with Mr. Wagner?
So we did have it surveyed and everything, but there was never no formal agreement where he's going to sell it. We just had a surveyor go out and give us estimates to pay the property and gave us his reports. So we know the cost of it, and Timmy is willing to sell it.
At the same cost? Or
So that's going to be a different discussion once we get there, but hopefully at the same cost.
yeah. And I guess my question would be to staff as far as the money is concerned, because we're talking somewhere in the neighborhood of $700,000 to $900,000, depending on which area that we're willing to purchase. And where, if we have that kind of money available in order to make that kind of arrangement, I guess finance.
They are aware of it, and I did add it as part of my budget for FY '25, whether it got approved or how we're going to handle it, I don't know. Be more discussion at the special city council meeting, I guess.
Councilor Kevin and myself were having a discussion not too long ago of where that money was going to come from. And one of the things that Councilor Kevin came up with was we're looking at the sale of the TMC land, which is going to be roughly around that price.
So we use that number.
Okay, that's the question that I bring up.
It's got to stay here.
Okay. So then we have to start looking at other avenues.
There are some other ways of making this dog hunt. We have explored all the different avenues that will take available. But it's on our to-do list because our present wastewater facility, it's done.
It's outgrown itself.
Yeah, it's at a very bad place, in my opinion. There's not enough reserve, and then we get another 900 houses, it'll be over capacity, right?
Yep.
Fair statement?
We still got a lot of capacity left. I mean, my concern is the future expansion of the plant. We have 3 facilities built on top of each other. And there's too much buried concrete and old facilities underground, piping, electrical, everything. And everything designed to gravity flow to that specific location. So the best thing we could do is purchase that property, had it readily available for future expansion.
The big problem, Mr. Chairman, is not to purchase the land. It's when you decide to expand out there because all these wastewater facilities are individually engineered, specific for what you need, and of course they're constructed individually. And the reason I know anything about it is when I was in the legislature, one of my good friends, that's what he did, was engineering for wastewater facilities, and the costs that were involved back in the 80s. Oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding. So we've got a long ways to go, but now, in my opinion, is an excellent time to work with this state. We're already selling our flood out there to these people. We're supplying water, so it just makes sense all the way around. I think it's to get down to the dollars and cents question before it's all said and done. And we need to go ahead and acquire the land, even if we're not going to start construction tomorrow.
Lease it.
No,
No, I mean, buy it and then lease it. for
well, we
farming.
could, that's certainly an option. Yeah, we could lease it till we're ready to construct.
Right.
And I don't disagree with that approach.
Well, my understanding, and Lorenzo can correct me if I'm wrong, I think that was a gentleman's agreement that was made with Mr. Wagner that he would sell the property and that he would be willing to lease it from the city until such time that the city needed.
I had a similar conversation with Mr. Wagner 6, 8 years ago about what the possibility of the city, of course, I wasn't wearing the city hat. And he said, yeah, we've kind of been commenting about it, but, and he wasn't opposed to it at all. But I've already written water, I'm getting water from you guys now. It just makes sense to me. And he's been alive, I think this deal would be very easy to put together. He was very open to the possibility. But now he's not here anymore, and who knows?
Because with Hildreth,
Try to take a loan and it'll be fine. Oh, we changed.
oh yeah, you're,
Just take loans and.
that's right, you're.
Mr. Chair, just to clarify, my understanding is we're at 55% capacity at the sewer plant as it stands right now. We've always got eminent domain in our back pocket as far as timing and availability.
Yeah, but.
I understand, but just putting it out.
55% capacity, you said?
55.
So we run about 3.5 million gallons per day through the facility right now. We're permitted for 7.5 million gallons per day. And I mean, if we want to expand even further than that, we can actually treat 15 million gallons per day. This facility will probably last another, just throwing it out there, guessing, another 20, 30 years. But another facility right now, if we were to build one today, talking to HDR, our engineer, he said it'd be about $200 million to build a new wastewater treatment plant.
Told you.
I mean, just looking at the big numbers of what's to come in the future, and that's current numbers now. I mean, it could get very costly in the end, so it'd be good to kind of purchase a property, have it on hand now, and just move later. I mean, eminent domain, of course, is an option, but
It is an option, but I don't think it's that you want to go. Yeah. All right, anybody else on this issue?
Yeah, I noticed you got sample site 2, sample site 3. That's all for sale under the 77 acres. And I was wondering why that was separated out like that. And on this right here, it doesn't even go to Red River, which on page 36, it goes all the way over to, not Red River, but Red Bridge. Yeah, it just looks a little different. Because just for everybody's knowledge, that bottom part is track 2, and then all up there on the very top up there is track 1,
right,
which is 108 acres. So, and all we're interested in is maybe the bottom 2, right?
yes,
Those 2 right there.
yes. Not the top.
And it goes all the way to the highway normally, doesn't it? Right there, it doesn't.
Right, and I understood it going to the highway, but I'll have to look at we'll have to talk to the surveyor about that, where he had it. He had it marked out different.
Yeah, 36 shows it goes all the way to the highway. There it doesn't.
That's the one that I've seen. That's the first time.
Yeah.
This one, I've seen that.
Because I look at them both and I'm like, well, which one is it? And
The surveyor attached that estimate for the 700 and.
yeah, that's the survey.
That's the survey right there.
But I like that one better.
Right, right.
And as you can see, that's 108 acres up there.
You surprised me seeing that other one. This is the one that I've seen.
Yeah, yeah, and this is the one, I don't know, sample site 2, sample site 3. I don't know why those are separated.
No, this is, I think that was probably an old,
Okay.
before that survey came.
I mean, if they were separating those to sell, maybe cut 353.
And this is the way it provided a survey with that detailed map.
Got you, and that was the initial proposal and cost estimate. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Mayor,
The land that goes downhill is more
I'm sorry,
valuable. The land that goes downhill is more valuable.
if you say so.
Don't reduce
It
it.
all goes downhill.
Didn't catch it.
Yeah, you know, it goes down here.
Last chance of this.
Let's move here. Let's move.
Clarification. So my understanding is sample site number 2 is the 740,000.
It is.
It's 72.
It's better.
Oh,
Good.
and
Would be the 8.
Yeah, there it is. Okay, that's the way it's set up right there.
And this appraisal was done in 2019.
Yeah.
you could go to page 36, it would show it.
Anything else?
It's not on the PowerPoint.
Oh, it's on the PowerPoint. I'll zip it.
I didn't put it yesterday.
Okay.
So now we'll go to department reports. If the streets is willing to give a report.
Don't have to.
Monica,
Did you say?
anything?
You don't have to if you don't want to.
Any committee member have any questions on reports, street reports? If not, let's go to the Roswell Transit. Anything, do you want to give a report or?
Well, you know, we launched May 6th. That was a really rough day. It was very new for us. It was very new for the passengers. There are passengers who do not like it because they think it's really dumb that they have to book a ride. You have to book it kind of like an Uber thing. But anyway, statistically, our customer satisfaction is 4.4 out of 5 stars. With 12% of the riders actually responding to the survey. Efficiency-wise, it's a little less efficient than what we were doing, but it's a whole lot more safe. What we were expecting our drivers to do was to remember 10 or 12 stops in their head. And then they were going where they had that in their head, right? Now it's on a tablet, and the tablet tells them where to go. They're carrying less passengers per ride. And a lot of times it's just pick somebody up and then take them where they're going, as opposed to picking up a whole bus full and then taking them where they're going. But the passengers should enjoy that better because sometimes they were held hostage on the bus for over an hour. So it's better for them. It's a huge transition though. So just keep plugging away at it.
So less people riding, but our ridership has gone up. Right?
But you haven't seen May's ridership yet.
Oh.
Because, right, this is April's data that you're looking at.
Gotcha.
And we didn't start it till May 6th. So you're probably gonna see a dip.
Questions from committee members? Counselor Moore.
So it's not like a regular city bus anymore? You have to get on the thing, so I can't go stand out on the corner and wave and.
How old are you probably?
Main Street. But it's on demand on the side.
It's okay. Okay.
Counselor Arnold.
Thank you. So I actually had a great opportunity to talk to you last week, and you brought up something because one of the big things that's been on my mind is transportation for the airport. Some of the agencies out there have kind of said that that is an area that is huge as far as a need, transportation from the airport for air, air services, other people that come in and work at their agencies. But you mentioned that there is, you'd been looking at a software program that is kind of similar to Uber that could assist at
That's what you're doing.
That's what you implemented.
So right now, the airport is on the fixed route.
Right.
But we've talked about the fact that there's not very many passengers past O, and the bus stops get very spread out, right? So we would start our fixed route at O and make all of that, the south side there, also on demand. So you call, book a ride, and then just advertise it at the airport so people could book their ride.
So if they can't, if they don't know to book their ride and they come in that late at night, is there a way to utilize an app where we can request it? I mean, what I'm
The
looking
only way they
at.
can request it after hours is if they ask us prior to their trip.
Okay, which is very
Which is
difficult.
when we're still open.
Right.
But we don't have a dispatch service that's at night.
Okay. So, that being said, maybe, discussion, I know everybody's been talking about this forever, and I recognize, you think about, let's go ahead and just, I'll buy a couple cars and see what I can do, but I know in my mind that everyone else has already thought about that. It's not something that our shuttle services haven't actually looked at to see that if it's a fiscally responsible business decision. So, I mean, I'm not sure what the answer is until maybe our numbers increase.
As a ride, it's
For you.
fiscally not a good decision on the cities.
Right, but it is a service that brings people in, because, I mean, like I said, I've picked up 2 people at 10 o'clock at night and taken them.
Well, and I picked up.
I think there's a bunch of us.
At night to take him back to the dorm because he was special needs and his parents called us in advance, right? And I lived out in that area, so I was going to pick him up and to the dorm. We try to be as accommodating as absolutely possible. But it would require that people, think ahead, and that's not always what people like to do. People want to think.
Now, there's an assumption that I'm going there, it's an international airport, there must be transportation. It just,
Well, they are opening the rental car places when the flights come in.
okay.
So even though they were closed prior to the flight getting there, they open for a period of time when the flight comes in.
Okay, thank you. It's just on my mind.
Anything else? Any questions? If not, we'll move on to the next one, fleet maintenance.
Oh, we are fully staffed for the first time in like 10 years.
Very good.
For the fleet maintenance?
No, the trans.
Did you forget her name, please?
No, I forgive names like that.
Yeah. Okay, I never.
Okay, I don't think we have fleet maintenance here.
Yeah.
I thought it was the other gentleman.
That's
Long gone. Right. We'll go to Potter.
Hey, I got a question with fleet maintenance. Yeah, I noticed, in your fleet maintenance report, I noticed, we have a budget for sanitation vehicle maintenance. But right underneath it, sanitation payroll.
Because we rent our own shop.
Okay.
We have 4 heavy duty techs, a lube tech, part tech, and a supervisor.
Okay, but I noticed it wasn't budgeted, so it was
It's
weird.
part of the same budget.
Okay, it's included?
Yeah.
That's what the INCL means, I guess. Okay. Just asking. I've never seen that before, so I thought I would ask.
It was an attempt to try to show you what we're spending conglomerately, right? On payroll and the shop compared to what we were doing when we were sending all of our trucks out for repairs. We're hiring a whole service to come and inhabit our shop.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
We'll go to the next 4 items. There will be gyms, parks, cemetery, zoo, recreation.
We're gonna open up the zoo this weekend, and that ribbon cutting your train. And they're gonna have some artwork inside the tunnel at 10:30. And then we're open up that fish pond, so it's ready to go. Put another 150 fish, couple hundred pounds in again this week, so then stock once, we'll stock it again. And it'll be open for the kids to fish this coming weekend. So that's kind of a big deal there, so. Train's gonna be running, I've asked staff running at 1, 3, and 5, no cost. So we have fun, we try to keep the minimum, minimum of 10 people. Running it for 1 or 2, but we run that train for free on the weekends now. We'll be able to go fishing, so That's the zoo, and then, a couple exciting things they had at the adult center, we had a square dance, everybody liked that. Put more classes on there at the adult center, so it was a couple of main things right there, and then, this weekend, we're gonna open up the pools, swimming pool, both inside and outside, at the aquatic center. Guys, get going.
Can you give us an update on the sports side of what's going on?
Okay, so everybody heard about the flag football.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm talking about right now. We've been going back and forth, however, the state of New Mexico did give us about $500,000 to pick up style, so they're going to work on the irrigation and sludge that. You don't want the kids playing on that, but it's going to take the concession stand out of commission. Believe it or not, some of the restrooms are, the toilets are broken and everything else, so we're gonna do just like we did the soccer. We'll beat them out, we're gonna fix it up, and then we'll be ready to go. We have reached out to an organization, hopefully they'll come back and come back to the table. I think they're willing to move their flag football over to Pima Grande and go from there. So according to what I'm hearing on Facebook, they're happy to do that. We've got our legal department updating our contracts with that individual. We'll be happy, they haven't come back to the table yet, but we charge each soccer about $9,000 a season. We charge that organization a couple grand for our flag football styles. Okay, so we're willing to keep that price and let them use Cima Grande. Issues with lights, and it's just like anywhere else here in the desert. Baseball field's got some lights, we're updating those too. So we have to switch over to LED. These are big projects, it's $500,000 just to look at lights. That ball field. So we're trying to work on the soccer fields, get some lights out there maybe at the end of the day, and whatever, we're gonna go through our action items, their styles. We'll go through that park and walk through it, but I know right now, talking to everybody, the irrigation's on city water, it's on the well, has black pipe, and there is a manhole cover in the middle of the football field, because it used to be baseball field. These are some of the things that maybe we need to take care of. I don't think I'd want to be tapping on top of a manhole cover. So the issues are just like the soccer field. We have to maintain these things during the season. It's not 365 days a year. It's when the dirt's warm enough to grow grass. So we do the irrigation infrastructure, and we come in with whatever we need biologics in the soil. So we need to sludge it. We sludge it 2-3 times. We to get the soccer field back, we put $18,000 of fertilizer. We sludged it twice. We aerated it twice. We fixed the irrigation heads. We fixed the irrigation pipe. I put new step-up pumps on the city water out there because of the pressure. And then 2 irrigation systems, so I could run a computer, so I could run that simultaneously and water the whole thing at night, because we try not to water during the day and have it evaporate. So that's where we're at with the styles, is we've given the opportunity for the first time in I don't know how many years to jump in there and try to fix something. So we're trying to work with that organization to give them a larger area to use for a lower price. So
I want to make sure I understood what you said, that they are willing to play at the Cielo Grande soccer fields.
That's what being put out on Facebook.
Who's they?
That they'll play on Cielo Grande. However, they're not going back to our office to sign a new lease for that.
Because, I went into their website and they've got a tournament, a big tournament scheduled for June or July something, early July.
Right.
That they're taking in entry fees already.
We're here.
Yeah, they are.
And their schedule at Styles Fields is what the announcement is.
Okay, well, the contract has a 14-day cancellation clause. They have not come to the office to sign any legal paperwork whatsoever. So they don't have a lease or any property right now. They want to play under the light, but at the same time, I need to fix those fields. So if they were a nonprofit organization, I could help them out, the school district could help them out, but they are a for-profit Right, these our hands are tied, so no, can't donate anything whatsoever.
Mr. Chair, I'd just throw in there, even as a for-profit, the school district could rent a facility, a mobile facility. There's a NEMI facility with lights as well. It could be rented to a for-profit.
Mr. Edwards is here, and he was talking to the people, so what happened to them showing up to speak their own mind about this, do you know?
The guy was supposed to show up, that's why I showed up. Called him 2 days ago to talk to him. And he said he'd call me, put me on the deal of text message, said he'd call me back. And he just called me today about 1:58 when y'all were getting ready to start the meeting. Because there's some misinformation out there. And that's why I came. I don't want to get into y'all's little committee report, but you know, it's all about kids. We share the same kids. Everybody in here that I know knows we have to share the same kids. We share kids, we work with kids. And I'm gonna throw some stuff out there, some information. A few years back, there was a change. They pulled recreation from under the parks department. The fields have suffered ever since until they went back to the parks department. Because frankly, I feel like we were trying to be out of business. I'm just gonna say that for us. Because the parks, they made it so difficult for us, not parks, but recreation made it so difficult for us to put on a season. COVID hit. You have to work those fields. And that's one of the problems we have. We were leasing the fields to just anybody for $250. Anybody could come in and say, hey, I've got a travel team and I'm going to do this and we're going to charge you $250. If that was the case, we should have put our Rockville Youth Football League as a travel league and made the whole league travel and got the field for $250. But we were paying our player fees. It's all about kids. You've got, sometimes you have to do workaround. We played on sludge before. We played out there with the sludge on the field. And guess what? We heard about it. We knew that we were going to play on it. We played on it and we worked through it. The problem is, you know, there's some misinformation going out, and I was hoping the gentleman would be here so I could talk to him and speak to him. All of a sudden, it's my fault that they're not on the field. It's the city's fault that they're not on the field. It's Rita Durhopper's Kane's fault they're not able to get here.
We good with that.
This is my character.
I'm just putting the information out. You know, it's about kids. We share kids. We do work around with the aquatic basketball league. We work with the soccer leagues. In the past, the mobile league has used what happened is Danica, the lady that started the league, stepped away about 2 years ago. And so you have a new person that's taken over, and I'm not going to throw him under the bus, but he's taken over and he tried to run it by himself, and now he's trying to form a board to work to
go nonprofit.
Right.
To go nonprofit.
I have no idea if they're going nonprofit.
No, they claim to be an LLC.
Yeah.
For money.
They need a board to go nonprofit.
Yeah, they do.
So that's some of the issues.
Need a board to be all over.
And so, we have a meeting tonight for Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
And you'll see a lot of their people there tonight, hopefully. And hopefully we can do some workarounds or figure it out. But there have been people that have offered to help them or help this individual, but he hasn't put it forward.
I think Chad's done a great job of opening up to, helping them however he can.
And he's talking to Chad?
I don't know if he's talked to Chad or not, but there have been people that have talked to him. One of the board members, because we don't have a president of our board anymore. We are governed by our commission. So that stepped down 2 years ago. We have a group of our commissioners and we're not presidents or any of that stuff. So, if he talked to Chad, I don't know.
Mr. Chair, yeah, thank you, Mr. Edwards. I appreciate it. He has not talked to me. I started receiving some Facebook postings.
Hate mail.
Yes.
Some hate mail.
On the way to Lubbock last week, started making some calls. But my question was, why couldn't we have an alternate location? Then we come to find out, well, we want lights, because I suggested Cielo Grande to one of the folks that is working with them. But Mr. Edwards, you know the shape of those fields, over Styles Field, they get a lot of use. We've got to rehab the field, but again, I think there's lots of options. There's Nemi has lights, Wobble has lights, DeBrumman has lights. Cielo Grande doesn't have lights, but the grass is great. It looks beautiful because Mr. Burris has worked it pretty hard this.
But if we have to play football right now, the tackle league, I don't think we'd be able to play. I wouldn't put my kids out there on that field right now.
There's some stickers out there, some burrs, yeah.
Mains, and the grass is hard. The dirt is hard, we'll call it dirt. It would be unsafe for us to play right now. For us, flag, totally different. But I would, if we have to start, we might even have to move our season around if the fields aren't ready. But when, a few years ago, when the field got burnt, we got there and we worked those fields. We cut sod with the golf course, and we had some job corps kids, and we went out there and put the work in to re-sod the field in spots where the grass got burnt. And, you know, fields are, they're hard to come by.
Well, you know, that's something that all sports leagues have to understand, that if they're going to be playing on city fields, it's city fields. It's not the organization field. And there will be times when you're going to have to address issues with those fields that will prevent you from playing, that you just have to make adjustments and go someplace else where you can be accommodated, where it can be temporarily an accommodation. And I think most of the sports leagues understand that. This individual, or I've never worked with flag football, so I'm not sure what their thinking is or anything like that. So let me go to Mr. Corn and then I'll come back to you.
Question. I haven't talked to our city manager, and I guess you've talked to him anyway?
Just once, but they haven't come back to the table.
So we have no letter of intent, no contract, or nothing. And they're trying to make us out the bad guys.
Yes, sir.
They've already done that.
Oh, yeah, we're already bad.
They already pushed us under the bus.
I'll let everybody, because it's not my fault. I haven't done anything that can't be my fault. So it's not your fault.
Yeah. Let me go to Councilor.
I think that was my,
I'll go with
I think that was kind of my question and my deal, was that if they have not entered into anything, how can they already put out that it's going to be a Styles Field if they haven't even requested or did the paperwork to use Styles Field or any other field? So how can they already be putting out information that where it's going to be if they haven't talked to the people that would give them the paperwork to say it could be a Styles Field? Am I missing? Did I miss something?
No.
Jim, when it's easy, I think I do that Facebook and stuff. Of course, I do get.
It's my business.
Couple things. One, we have to listen to what James said. Tackle football, the ground's too hard. Kids get hurt. Okay, my job is to take care of city property and do risk assessment. So I'm getting the field ready, just kids get knocked down. I already told you, manhole covers, everything else we got. Someone fixed that. The restrooms are broken. All right, at the concession stand there. So that's also. So you want to rent porta potties, you want to rent lights. You see that this is, I want to fix things. However, this outside organization trying to help children play flag football in between the two things. So I reached out to our rec staff. I imagine that the city of Roswell will be doing flag football next summer. We'll do it ourselves and then try to look at what it costs to do it. And maybe we can help more children. So that's going to be the cure. I imagine the city will do flag football next summer, and I'll take the field Styles, and hopefully tonight this gentleman will show up and maybe we'll get some kind of contract with the city.
Jason, does the Rubber Youth Football League do flag anymore?
We do ours in the fall. We run it in conjunction with our tackle league. And we don't use lights for our flag except on, I believe we play on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We only use the one field because you can make 4 fields out of one. So we play 2 games a week. And then on Saturday, we play at 8 o'clock while it's cold. So we do play, but a lot of kids don't want to play flag football when it's cold, and they would rather play tackle football. And we've been approached to do a summer deal, and when it came to us, it takes work, and I commend the young man for trying to at least step up and do it, but it takes a lot of work, and we didn't have to buy in to actually take the bull. Because you start out with 13 and you finish with 3. So.
And to his point, he's talking about fall football. So the lights are on when he's playing football, but they shut up at 10 o'clock. That was in the neighborhood. So during the summer, it's light till 8:30. So the lights are going to be running an hour and a half to that. So, qualifier lights on flag football, I'm not sure it's necessary to begin with.
Anything else on parks? If not, we'll go to solid waste. You got anything?
Mr. Committee members, I just want to point your attention to page 82 in your packets. When a couple of things we can do it. Do a lot of community outreach with the elementary school. Basically, middle schools, we do a little bit of, it's kind of put our machines out there, let them touch them, feel them, see what they're doing. Make ourselves, not to the community. Missouri Avenue Elementary School was very receptive. They were very thankful to some of the products. The kids loved it, playing with the horn, bring them to grapple truck. The greatest thing ever. A couple of things too. We do a lot of cleanups. The cleanups are in conjunction between not only the solid waste department, the streets department, code enforcement, and anybody else who will out to us. There are a couple of areas that we all want to point out. That first picture, you'll see that's behind Church on the Roof of Brasher. It was a makeshift dump area. We did a lot of work there with streets, with our team as well. Philip Sanchez, Norma Fleta, kind of spearheaded this with the streets. We did a really good job cleaning up. Also, you'll see there's a trailer you see in there. That was actually something we partnered with the county, with Chavez County Flood Control. This was a makeshift dump area west of the Saddle Creek Apartments on Sunset that was being dumped at for a long period of time. It took us quite a bit of time to kind of do that as well. So those are just some of the photos we wanted to share with you. This last photo where you see the staff member, there was a homeless encampment on Brasher Road north of the well. So we work with code enforcement. We also work with streets and work with our department. We got the entire area cleaned up over there. That's just want to point that out. Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns?
So remember,
Mr. Chairman. So Abraham, let me ask you a quick question, because I know that over at Hines Hondo, Optimus, everybody back over at Hines Hondo. I don't know if it's still going on, but I know back years ago, people would go out there and dump their stuff out there. And I've walked out there behind Hines Hondo, runs and walks and stuff up there. You know, a bunch of stuff that people just throwing their garbage out there. Is that?
Yes, it is. So our best option there, we could do some pickup. We can get some heavy out there. We either put some earth and berms. We block going back, but that is all city property. You want it.
Okay.
Jim, you have a question?
Speaking of that area, back in the day, we got with State of New Mexico training, took six bulldozers out there. And that's where St. Mary's Hospital is buried, out there in the dirt. And we had 6 bulldozers in there with hooks down, pulling up that rebar and concrete, to bring them kids going across there, mini bikes, everything, they're going to get speared. Yeah. So we cleaned that up quite a bit, and then you got the one back there, and then up on the county, I believe that on humps, bumps, so I think most of that cleared up at one time, so I don't know if they're back in there again, but I know we're putting in fence telephone poles, and all kinds of stuff, kind of keep people out of there. So, cut the alleys off, do you remember?
Can we do trenching?
Fight with them.
We did that on Sunset and Poe, we did some trenching there.
So I'm dumping shingles.
So nobody could drive in there and.
Pull the trailer back in there?
Yes. Their own campsite, yeah.
I used to fight with them all the time and now I just gave up and we used to everybody used to walk their pets and stuff around there and now it's so full of roofing nails. There's, it's nothing to see a vehicle turn in there and you see it with pulling a trailer and they're going back there to dump and it's happens every week. It's just
So on that side that we came up on Sunset and Poe, we actually built some rooms of our own. And we did some trenching with the equipment as well. So you're not gonna be able to get back there. We took it all the way to the county line right by the Hondo. There's no way you're gonna be drive back there. The county actually helped us out and closed off Sunset. Changed it off, but we keep it on it every week, so.
you can go down Wyoming right behind the junior senior league field and you get right there. And that's the way they go.
So we don't want to allocate a lot of our resources to be doing that. When we do have time, we end up helping out with this cleanups, kind of, he brings a good perception, the optics are good for us. So anybody has something to point out to us, usually we partner with the different departments. When we have a slow day, we'll jump in there, we'll all help out. So we're more than willing to help any department like we always have. Mayor?
There's a big homeless camp down there on the railroad bridge. They get over there and they build boxes and make a big thing there. If they catch that bridge on fire, you're not gonna put it out. That stuff burns good, that fish, so that gets going. And then if you lose that, you lose the train. And that track's pretty big. But there's one under there now. Yeah.
Anything else? For sanitation? If not, we'll go to engineering.
Thanks, everybody.
Mr. Chairman, committee members, a couple quick updates on projects. Spring River Trail rehab project is substantially complete. We had our final inspection in MDT this afternoon on that project. Mill and fill projects are ongoing. Military Heights Place is done, Earth Road's done, and they're working on Lee Street now. Yes, sir.
Did they paint that for the stripe down the middle of that walking track?
That wasn't in the scope of this project, but we can certainly look at doing that.
Well, I guess, just to get people walking on either side. Walk 3 or 4 across and somebody have to walk off.
Mr. Mayor, I think this in particular was a repaving of the surface from Atkinson back to Union on the bike trail.
Correct. Yes, sir.
It's not gonna take as long as Atkinson does.
Atkinson is ongoing. We're still on track to finish in early July, that project. Water line and roadway reconstruction. Mescalero Bridge, we're still waiting on guardrail. We were told last week by the contractor to expect 2 more weeks before that guardrail is delivered. So that puts us in June for completion. Hopefully final completion on that. And I'll stand for any other questions on anything else we have going on.
Any questions for committee members?
Livestock, that's because been used a little bit more.
Any questions from persons attending or counselors attending?
Did James leave? Did he?
No, he'll be at the other meeting.
Okay, you scared him away.
So we come to our final item, special electronics and.
They report under engineering as well, just routine business for special electronics.
Okay.
I will throw out there, we're down a person in special electronics. It's a 2-man department and we're down 1. So if anybody knows a licensed electrician that might be interested in applying to work on streetlights and traffic signals, send them our way.
That position is posted. It's out there and available.
Any questions from the committee members? Any questions from the councilors in attendance? Anybody else in attendance?
Mr. Chair, would just say, real proud of the work this team has done, whether it's engineering, parks and recreation, or water, and solid waste. As you saw in the reports, they've been busy. They've been picking up trash all over town. Parks has got some really exciting things going on at the zoo. They're about to open the outdoor pool for the summer in conjunction with graduation weekend this weekend. So a lot of fun things to do here. A lot of people's hard work to get there.
And I'm anticipating that the crowd is going to start growing at the zoo, the park.
At the parking lot. That's
Yeah. Mayor,
That all-inclusive park dedication, I'd just like to thank you all for all the work you did. You know, I was over there Sunday and, you know, Mr. Burris, I know he's kind of, you know, everybody's red flag, but, you know, they had people over there getting it all cleaned up and ready. It was real nice. There might need to put some signs, no gum out there, food, because gum sticks right in that. But it's, if you haven't been there, there's 4 inches of soft stuff and then a harder thing on the top, but it's really nice for people to use. So it's a really a nice facility. It's really good for kids. I mean, it's for all kids. It's good. Everybody. It was good. They did a good job.
Councilor Curtis can say it was nice when we were there for the grand opening of the ribbon cutting. It was nice to see that there, I don't know what elementary school it was, school party there at the outdoor pool. Nice to see that brought back.
Like little kids.
Toys. The kids.
Glad.
Yeah. Kids laughing, jumping in water.
Can we get some centipedes transplanted over there? You know, they need to get some centipedes.
The fish pump open, we need them.
and we go to our public participation. Rita?
No.
Anybody online that has anything for public participation? I guess we don't, and if there's no objection, this meeting is adjourned at 4:07.
One more comment, Mr. Chairman.